guys, this is Joy. This is my teaching plan for Module 5 of pharmacology class. So to begin with, we'll just start with a quiz that can be handed out at the beginning of class. It has 5 questions, 5 answers. Just draw a line to the correct answer. And it just covers the objectives that in the beginning of the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint was available prior in Blackboard, and then it takes about 5 or 10 minutes, and when that finishes we can collect them and then move on. Also at the beginning of class, before it started, we were also assigned a pamphlet that could be done to cover the medication levothyroxine, and so I went ahead and did one just to kind of as a to represent what the assignment should look like. And so I just did the medication, and because of what the medication does, I chose the sunflower as to be kind of a representative because it's always the tallest of the bunch. So just put a little handouts, like, the what it does, how much the starting dose is, the maintenance dose, how long it takes to take effect, and then what it does. So that hopefully you guys had fun doing that, and it was a great time and you enjoyed it. So we'll go ahead and get started on the PowerPoint. We'll go back to the beginning. So we did levothyroxine, and we'll go ahead and go over the objectives. So by the end of this lesson, the student will be able to summarize the pathophysiology of hypothyroidism, summarize the pharmacotherapy, pharmacokinetics, and pharmacodynamics of levothyroxine, and identify the route, dosage, range, onset, and duration of levothyroxine. And let's see. We'll go to the next one. So we'll go ahead and start with the pathophysiology. And the thyroid secretes the hormone thyroxine, and that is used for our basal metabolic rate, growth and development, and it influences all our organ system. So it just kind of keeps everything good and going and keeps us nice and toasty, and our hair beautiful and weight manageable, and a tendency to tolerate the difference in heat and cold. So what happens is it's a little bit slower in the response system as far as like getting the hormone where it needs to go. So it actually secretes the hormone, and then it is released into the bloodstream, and then it takes a while for it to get to where it's going, to the cell, and then it goes inside the cell, and from there it takes over the nucleus, and not takes over the nucleus, but goes into the nucleus, and there's RNA replication and goes from there. So it just kind of keeps everything going and moving and all that smooth stuff. So what happens is that there's a decrease in thyroid production, or the thyroid has a decrease in thyroxine production, and that has an effect on basically everything, because it connects to all the organ systems and talks and communicates with them. So it kind of just slows everything down, makes it kind of sluggish. So it's caused usually from an autoimmune response, and when they are diagnosed with that, they are given pharmacotherapy, replacement therapy, regardless of the pathway. The only time you wouldn't give it is if there was like an infection of the thyroid and it's during the acute phase, and it's not expected to last long because it does take a couple days for this medication to take a full effect. So levothyroxine, it's usually given in starting at 50 micrograms daily, and then it's increased, and this usually taken PO. Side effects are, we'll get to that. Pharmacokinetics is taken PO, gone through the gastrointestinal tract, and 48% to 79% is absorbed. And then it's even increased more when you're fasting, so make sure you eat something with it. There's a slow onset, and the peak is usually in 1 to 3 weeks. So it's metabolized in the liver and excreted in the bile, and then eventually defecated in the stool. The pharmacodynamics is there's increased respiration, increased oxygen consumption, increased heart rate, increased growth and development, and increased metabolism. So, like, again, it's the snail mail. So even though once you give the levothyroxine, it kind of picks everything back up again. So there's a few things that you want to be mindful for. Before class started, there should have been the little index card available so that we can make a your own little medication card for levothyroxine. So if you guys want to fill it out now or later, it's up to you. But so levothyroxine, I went ahead and filled this one out just because that way we can go over it real quick. Levothyroxine is a thyroid supplement and increased metabolic rate of tissue. You start at 50 micrograms PO daily and increase every 2 to 3 weeks. The maintenance dose is 75 to 125 micrograms daily. And for the nursing assessment, you need to monitor the heart rate, chest pain, and arrhythmias. Monitor the thyroid functioning test prior to and during treatment, the free T4, which is usually 0.7 to 2.0, and the TSH, which is 0.45 to 4.5. And then you also need to be very mindful of patients using insulin because as this increases the metabolic rate, there may be an increased need for insulin for those diabetic patients. Side effects is nervousness, headache, arrhythmia, sweating, heat intolerance, and weight loss. And then precautions for the cardiovascular disease, renal insufficiency, and our geriatric sensitivity because they just can't handle it like everybody else. So just be mindful of that. They may even start at half the dose of what is usually like, the 50 micrograms. They may start at 25. So I put this little mnemonic on here. It just kind of depicts Synthroid, because remember it takes 1 to 3 weeks for it to go into full effect. So on the first day of your first dose, you're not going to feel any better. But obviously by the 6th day, you're like, yay! And that would go the same for if you miss a dose. The first day, you're going to be like, no big deal, really. But by the 4th day that you missed a dose, you're going to start to feel a lot more sluggish because everything's, that level starting to come back down. And by the 6th day, you're back to your tired, lethargic self. So when the dose is too low, you're gonna watch for decreased heart rate, bradycardia, lethargy, constipation, because everything's gonna slow down. Fatigue, sleeping, and then the same, the opposite with if the dose is too high and there's an excess amount of medication, because you're going to be irritable, you're going to have palpitations, there's going to be tachycardia, you're going to have arrhythmias, you're going to have your GI tract's going to kick in, you're going to have diarrhea and tremors, and you're not going to be able to sleep, so you have that insomnia. So you can see here where the guy's, like when it's too low, he's just like, blah. And then when it's too high, he's like, and he's got little lines because he's like, too much coffee for him. Any questions? The ones I can think of are, what is Hashimoto's disease? It's the autoimmune disease that attacks your thyroid. It is genetic. They don't really know what causes it. Is levothyroxine the only medication available? No, there's some other ones, but levothyroxine is the drug of choice. And, is it only available PO? No, it's available. You can do it IV too, but it's typically PO. And so just some of the questions. And then opportunity to ask some. And then there's my references. Yay! And then also when this is done, we can break into groups of 3 because I also have the answers. Shouldn't look at the answers. A case scenario. So it just kind of, everybody can break into groups of 3, and then there can be one person that's the nurse, and the second person who is the patient, and the third person can either be a nursing student with a nurse, or they can be a family member of the patient, as long as all 3 of them are interacting and kind of asking questions and quizzing each other. Picking their brains. So it's just you or the nurse taking care of a patient recently diagnosed with Hashimoto disease, leading to hypothyroidism before administration of the first dose of levothyroxine. It is important to provide education and answer the patient's questions. So I just give a little history of who the patient is, what's going on, some assessment findings, and then they can just break into their groups and do some fun interactive stuff. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I hope you did too. And thanks for watching.